Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the gleaming gazer herself, Sandy Reevy.
Let's figure that one out.
It is episode 241, March 6th. Let's get right into it. In the transits, we start off with today, March 6th, Sun sextile Uranus.
Stimulate.
Tuesday, March 7th, full moon at 16 degrees of Virgo.
Getting pushed and pulled.
Tuesday, March 7th, Saturn ingress Pisces.
Order up your dreams.
Saturday, March 11th, Venus sextile Mars.
Send invite.
And Mercury sextile Uranus.
Ideation alert.
And Sunday, March 12th, daylight savings time.
Nice for me.
Then in Talisman time, Sandy has finished up 2 talismans we're going to discuss, as well as the talisman of the month. On the horizon, we have our forecast and cheat sheet waiting for you on Patreon. And finally, in our house, I just celebrated my 35th birthday. So listen in to my solar return themes and how I celebrated. Stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story.
Hello, gleaming gazer.
What is that?
You have your eyes, the outer edges of your eyes are bedazzled.
They're bindied.
They're bindied. So I called you the gleaming gazer because I was looking at you across the way and I was like, what? There's something on your eye. It almost looked like a tear from the outer corner that was just waiting to
Dribble
and I was
off.
like, wow,
I'm not crying today.
No.
No, not yet.
Oh no. Why?
No, I mean, I've got my sun in water and my moon in water. I cry a lot.
Yeah.
I get emotional because I'm so sensitive. But no, that's because I told you I was watching this movie and this woman who I had these little black dots in the corner of her eyes, like eye pencil, just like dot though. And I'm like, God, that would be better than a line, eye pencil line that always gets smushed anyway. And so you said, well, that's probably a stick-on.
Right.
Like, no, I think it's a marker, like an eye pencil. You're like, no, it's a sticker. So this morning when I was getting ready for my readings, I'm like, oh, but if it's a sticker, I got a lot of pretty bindies.
You do.
And I'll just use the dotted ones, not the big crazy looking ones. And so I stuck 2 on and maybe this is my new look.
It's pretty. I like it.
You like?
Yes.
You likey?
So let's go direct. We have a message from a transformational coach in Kansas that just had a reading with you.
Oh.
And she was sharing her feedback.
Oh, let me hear.
She says, wow, wow, and wow.
Oh.
I would say I'm speechless, but clearly here I am typing. It was hands down the most informative reading I have ever had.
Wow.
I cannot thank you enough. It is so interesting because I've never noticed my Venus star point being aspected so much, and it had me wondering, hoping that it was in fact blossoming and activating. I keep reminding myself that I have survived my entire life, and this year will not be an exception. I will learn and grow and get better just like I always do. It's going to be okay. I just need someone else wiser than me to tell me they also saw hope in a bright future in my chart.
Aww.
I wasn't just telling myself stories. I just forwarded your link to my bestie in Australia. Thank you so much. I will be telling so many more people about you.
Whoa, nice. Yeah, that was a big reading. Well, and not too many people know about Venus Star Point for her to have found me on Ariel Gutman's website.
Who pretty much developed the Venus Star Point.
Yeah,
you were the one that you got your whole certification program with her, and she put you on her website as a resource.
Yeah. And remember, I went to Greece to pick up my diploma, which is
right.
She's like, oh, I've never had anybody do this before.
And so tell me a little bit about why would somebody want to get a Venus Star Point reading?
First of all, we each have we have 5 points in our chart that may or may not have a natal planet in that position. but we each have a Venus star point head, if you will. And then we have the right arm and the left arm, and then we have the right leg and the left leg. And this is to depict the Vetuvian man, right? That is this perfect 5-pointed petal, star point, whatever, that holds this architecturally nature perfection of beauty.
Okay.
Right. And so we all have one. And when any time, and it's before our birth, when it was the last, before we were born, the last Kazimi of the Venus conjunct the sun, right? That Kazimi point creates the Venus star point.
Right. So how do I know that I would want to learn more about my Venus star point?
So every 9 months, every 18 months, a star point gets reactivated every time that Venus is retrograde and conjuncts the sun for another point, or the transiting Venus direct goes into the sun and Kazimis the sun, creates another star point. If you have a planet or an angle or a sensitive area of your chart that is getting dinged, that's a blossoming of whatever that planet represents. And every 9 months, this pattern comes back about 2 degrees. It goes backwards in the sky. So it's 2 degrees behind 8 years ago when it hit that same spot. Because you have to think it has to hit 5 points every 9 months. So whatever that equates to. So it's quite interesting. So it's an 8-year cycle that they will all be hit.
Okay, so let's move into the transits. We have today, Monday, March 6th, Sun sextile Uranus.
Stimulate a change day. Move about freely and independently. Change your plans, change your mind, but light that match, right? It's like a strike because the Sun and Uranus making a opportunistic aspect. So it's like, whoosh, what can happen today? It's kind of exciting, and it's kind of a changing. Maybe you're changing a hairstyle, or your, which actually weirdly, I am getting my hair done on that day. That's
perfect.
So, but
and I like
also,
that imagery. I like that sound bite that you just brought in, which is that striking of the match, because there is that sense of friction, but also it ignites and it creates fire.
Right. And it's exciting. And the other question you can ask yourself on this day, who am I not? Right. Because sometimes it's hard to decide to define self, right? But this is who am I not? Or who am I now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Tuesday, March 7th. We have 2 transits, starting with the full moon at 16 degrees of Virgo.
Right. This happens at 6:40 a.m. And I called this getting pushed or pulled, or both. First of all, it's a full moon. So that means that the moon and the sun are opposite placements, and they're both square to Mars. And this just means the Mars part is stuck in the middle. This is challenge or be challenged. It's also trine Uranus, which could be just what the doctor ordered, or just what the doctor ordered to be worked out, right? To kind of come up with a solution, come up with a plan.
Okay. And the second transit of that day, March 7th, Saturn ingress Pisces. This is big, and I should of course know this one because I just finished that meditation all about Saturn and Pisces.
Right, and make sure you listen to that every day for the next 3 years if you want to commit to a challenge. Saturn moving into Pisces is a big deal. This happens at 7:35 a.m. And really, Saturn, structure, self-discipline, mastery, experiences, maturity, is now moving out of the sign that he is in charge of, where he has all managerial properties. And he's moving into Pisces, the water, mutable sign. So this is more non-graspable type thing, right? So it's like, take your cup and put it into the sea of water and see what you can come up with. Pay attention to your subconscious mind. Write those little pieces of your dream state. I'm telling my clients that just as they're coming in to, awake, kind of that awake state, they're in between in that bardo state, that in between dream and awaken. And you're like, where am I?
Yeah.
Hurry and grab onto something that you were just thinking about, or, in that dream, because these pieces become your Rubik's Cube, right? You get to piece some things together because your subconscious and your dream state and dream weavers have a message for you. So, weave that tapestry of storyline here, and it stays here until February of 2026.
A while.
Right? So that's when when Saturn has completed this Pisces period and moves into Aries. But again, here we go, that Aries point, that beginning of the zodiacal year, Aries, the spring, right? The spring equinox, Aries. We have to think that the next 3 years, we're finishing up a 30-year cycle of something, whether it's mundane in the world, for the world as a whole, but certainly for each individual in their natal chart or in their life. What are you finishing up? And beginning to start anew, although not until 2026. So this will be interesting. And of course, this is our theme for our Bali retreat.
Yes, which we've been discussing in depth and detail, and we're both extremely excited. So Saturday, March 11th, we have another day with 2 transits, starting off with Venus sextile Mars.
This is with reception, Venus being in Aries, sextile Mars in Gemini. The reception is Mars is welcoming Venus into his domicile. And so this is lovely. These are the 2 planets that are the male-female planets. Send an invite or say yes to an incoming invite. Initiate conversations, ask lots of questions. Because it's that Mars in Gemini about, being inquisitive, and Venus having this initiatory action to, get the answer right or answer quickly. So take action and get moving. Spur on yourself or your loved ones. I'll be zipping up my luggage to Bali.
You will. And that second part of the day, Mercury sextile Uranus.
Yeah, this is ideation alert. Spur on a flux of thoughts. May seem random, but you can do something with them, if with part of them, if you can kind of mold them into something, and then just like we play with clay all the time, and we do our talisman sometimes on our retreats, they get to be molded into a form,
right? Something different.
This Mercury is just like Mercury in Pisces is like, well, he doesn't like being there, but I have it. So very creative, very imaginative, and coming into an opportunistic aspect with Uranus, like, hey, what am I thinking right now? I could maybe create this or that, and there's pieces in there that you could use to formalize something down the road.
So, and then that just sparked a quick memory of mine, is that there was a professor who I think was a potter, like teaching pottery. And so he split his class up into 2. One, he gave the cue to the class saying, you must make one pot. You have, say, like 4 weeks. You have an entire month. However, you're just going to make one. You're going to concept it. You're going to think about it. You're going to plan it out and then execute it. And then the second group, he said, for the next month, every single day, you are going to be creating an item, whatever it is. And so at the end of the month, who do you think created the best?
Oh, those that Really, the second group that got to create something every day.
Yep, it was because they were able to really get through those challenges and the processes in real time and also create the dedication and the skills that were able to help them in the long run. And so that to me kind of gives this maybe a little bit more of a grounded basis of, ideation. There's going to be tons of ideas, but we really must be like starting to create some things and get some things into motion for us to then keep developing.
Well, I like that fact because Uranus is in Taurus, right? Which is the fixed earth, right? And earth is clay. We were just talking about pottery. I was just talking about what we do in clay.
Right.
So it's really coming up with an idea and saying, let's see if it works.
Right.
And in the process, you may not get to your end goal, but on the way, you're like, oh my God, this is actually turning out better than I had originally had planned. And my flaw is my fortune, It's part of that testing, again, of flux of thoughts and ideation alert.
So yeah, that just sparked that.
Yeah, that's good. I didn't
thought
know that.
in my
Thank
head.
you for sharing.
So we're ending the week with Sunday, March 12th, and it's daylight savings time.
2 a.m. Sunday morning. And I wrote nice for me because, we're going to be springing ahead 1 hour. And that takes my 36-hour flight down to 35. Woo!
Yeah.
I'm going to not notice it at all.
All of a sudden, you're going to be like, wow, I got a whole hour back.
Yeah.
Great.
Meanwhile, you're flying from Chicago to Bali, and you're like, I'm going 13 hours ahead of where I'm going into the future.
You're in like a space tunnel. Like you don't know what time it is. All of a sudden they're like serving the next meal, and you're like, how did all that time just evaporate before my eyes?
They literally, as soon as you get on the plane, they start acclimating the lighting, the mood, the heat and the cold. They actually, even if you leave your windows opened, your little airplane windows, which I do, I like to see out, the windows go through a tint. Yeah. When I went to Greece, I've never experienced that. The windows go through a automatic tint that tries to tell, even though it's like
what a sci-fi.
It's like noon out.
Airplane.
It's like, oh, but it looks like there's the sun. I can see the sun ball, right? But
Interesting.
The windows are black.
Tinted.
They've gone to black, and then they come, so they are
interesting.
Yeah, it was odd. And
what airline was that?
I don't remember. Maybe American, but I always fly Qatar on to Bali. But,
which I didn't know. I don't know if they do that.
We'll have to see. I don't remember, but that was the first time I experienced that tinted window airplane phenomena.
So let's move over to talisman times, where you have finished up 2 talismans. However, I do think both of these are already sold. No. Okay. So let's start with Tuesday, February 28th, to initiate caring work with my partner.
We are seen as the blessed duo. I take part in this partnership with growth, grace, and dedication. We meet in the middle as balanced human beings. Hey, this was, February 28th when Venus was coming up to meet up with Jupiter in the night sky, in the evening sky, I should say. So the sun went down, and we can see, everybody would have seen this, because people that aren't even into astrology or even into astronomy, but because they have eyes, they can see the 2 big bright stars, the 2 benefics, are still moving together. Venus is faster than Jupiter, and Venus is also brighter. So when you look at the 2, you know which one of Venus is on the right, brighter. And the moon was making an aspect from the moon's domicile during this period. So this is just really nice for being a blessed duo. Right? Are you working with a business partner? Are you working with an intimate partner? It's like you have this growth grace and dedication, because these two benefics are in Aries. And, this is the one opportunity in 12 years that we can get the two benefics in Aries as the evening stars, because the sun is in Pisces.
Okay.
So the sun goes down and they're still above there, and then they go down. So this is a unique piece right here.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Exciting. So Wednesday, March 1st, to be zealous and dynamic in my intimate relationship.
I take on an energetic role with my intended partner. They know my motive, hope, and purpose that I aim for. Honest and true.
Mm-hmm.
This is a rare piece. This might be mine.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, looking at my solar return, we'll look at yours in a minute, but looking at my solar return coming up here, well, if I was in the United States, it would be, Sunday night, I think that's March 19th or the 20th,
Mm-hmm.
at 10:34 p.m., but I'll be in Bali. So it's Monday at 10:34 a.m. And interesting, there's this whole connection with solar return times, but I won't get into now because I'll talk too much. But this moon is in Cancer again, enclosed. Now, to get the moon enclosed by the two benefics is hard to do in a beneficial state. So this is a rare piece, and this is mine. I went up and I talked with Venus and Jupiter before I made this talisman. Like I try to talk with the planets and the fixed stars every night anyway, especially when they're visible, and they were that night. And I just kind of set an intention, and I said, yeah, this is exactly what I'd want in a relationship. And then I went down to my talisman room and started making this. And I'm like, oh my God, the writing here, which I did weeks ago, is exactly
Ooh,
right. They know my motive,
great.
hope, and purpose that I aim toward. Right. So it's on the website, but I think I'm going to take it down because I think this is mine, because my solar return does say that there's a relationship coming in for me this year.
Ooh, so exciting.
We'll see about that.
So
Anyway.
there are no upcoming talismans next week. However, we did highlight the talisman of the month this past podcast for March, and it is to make a positive influence on others. The affirmation, my ability to reward people in my tribe comes through as a noble gesture. I graciously nourish and permit them to grow. Beautiful power for all of us. That is on special, and you get a shipping credit when you purchase it. So head over to the website to check it out and give it a look. So let's move on to the horizon, where we have ready and waiting for you the March forecast and cheat sheet on Patreon. So what do you think about Patreon? Is it easy for you to use?
Oh my gosh, I love it. I've been using it for 4 or 5 years for the people that I follow. So when you were looking to upgrade old Stogie, Susan, and I to a more hipper, easier to use for you and for clients, that I said, just Patreon, I know how to use it. You learned how to use it. And so simple. It's an automatic payment each month.
You can use it on your phone. You can use it on your computer. It notifies you via email once something new has been posted. And you get to pick the tier. You get to pick the tier that you're a part of. So if you wanted to watch the March forecast and the cheat sheet, now that the first of the month has already started, you get to watch this forecast and cheat sheet at the $5 Patreon rate, or you can watch the next one live with a free Big Dipper trial. So I'm going to include that link in the show notes, and then also, if you join that Big Dipper trial, you will also join us for the astrology webinar about Saturn in Pisces and Pluto in Aquarius that Sandy and Susan will be enlightening us about on the 8th, so this Wednesday.
And all of our webinars in the last 8 years have been $30
Right.
when we have them. And this $30 per month includes that, plus our live recording of the next month, plus our cheat sheet, and an opportunity to ask a question on the star seat. And I think
like that
right there, we have answered questions that you didn't have to buy a slot or set up something down the road based on schedulings, because you could just come in and ask. And one lady was asking about, when should she buy a car? We gave her the answer, told her it was coming fast, and she did.
Yeah. And even solar returns, horary questions, those types of things. So, of course, join us. This astrology webinar is happening March 8th. The only way you're going to be able to access it is if you join the Big Dipper tier on Patreon.
And that's the $30. We also have the 2 higher, and they're quite higher, that get a one-on-one, either quarterly or monthly, in addition to all those other things with Susan and I.
Yes.
So we have some people on that already.
Right. Yeah. So let's also quick mention that we have the 2023 Bali retreat that is less than a month away. So if you are thinking about it,
we still have room.
We do have room up until the last minute, because we don't have any contract limitations there. But you are going to want to get your flight situated pretty soon. So give it a look. Check out the prices, see if you have points that you want to use, and join us.
It's going to be worth it. This one is
all about that Saturn and Pisces.
Yeah, and we're staying at a new resort.
And also our September 2023 Amargos retreat. That is filling up pretty quickly.
I just called Zealous yesterday when I sold the last single room, and they have no more rooms left except a junior suite, which can fit 3 people. But I'm sure those 3 people should know each other,
or they will by the end of the retreat.
Otherwise, there's still a one shared room space available, and we haven't even announced it.
We haven't.
I mean, we haven't sent emails out.
I don't have the landing page. Yeah. I don't have I don't have anything. I haven't sent out an email. I haven't done anything. And this retreat is almost sold out.
Right. It's
so
crazy.
If you are interested in this retreat, go ahead, get that free 15-minute call with Sandy just to discuss it, because who knows, it could be sold out by the time I even get the information page out. So,
I called and got to get more rooms, and they're like, we don't have any right now except for a junior suite. I'm like, I'll take it and see if I can sell that to 2 or 3 people.
Yes. So let's move into our house, where I just celebrated my 35th birthday. Cue the birthday song. Cue the candles.
Happy, and there.
Well, yeah. So,
happy birthday.
And just like that, I'm
fun.
35. And so I wanted to quick talk to you about my solar return and get an idea of like themes. We've already discussed it, but I also wanted to share a little bit about my year upcoming, because anyone who is listening to the podcast, if you have not had a solar return reading, I highly recommend it, because it gives you a little bit of a present from the universe, so that you kind of get this anticipatory excitement about the next year. And I think that if there's anything that I've noticed about aging people, it's that I feel like with every birthday, they like take off a little bit of excitement and happiness. Like, oh yeah, I'm turning, the next number above the number I was just at, So, but what I would love about the solar return readings is that it gets you excited, because there's even more doors to be opened, things to find on the horizon, and newness that is going to just be bubbling up into your world. So yeah, tell me a little bit about it.
I mean, really, for this solar return chart, you have Libra rising, which means that Venus will take over for this year, and Venus is making that exact conjunction with Jupiter. So it really is a very blessing-filled year. It's also to ask for it, right? Because it's in Aries, so it's not passive. It has to be energized, and talk about excitement and wanting to move forward and asking questions and kind
of making
anticipating
actions.
Take actions. Yeah. And then you've got Pluto sitting right on the IC, which to me is really a change in like a permanent change in your foundation, right? Like in your roots, whether it's family roots, your personal roots, your personal space is going through a chemical change, right? Because it's sitting exactly right there. And the moon is in a nice aspect in the 9th house, maybe of travel, of where you're bringing. Moon is in Cancer in the 9th house. Maybe you're spending more time on an international home, like an Airbnb or something.
Like
You're finding a lot of comfort in that travel, or higher knowledge, or spiritual or religious connections. And that's making a really an aspect. It's a square aspect to the Venus in Jupiter, but that's more about, kind of pushing the envelope. Again, Venus mostly is passive, right? Venus just like receives. She's magnetic. But in this, it's like, no, keep
rolling
what
the
I'm
ball,
doing right now.
keep pushing.
It's like, come on. Can we do this now? Let's go. Come on, let's do this.
Being
now.
a little bit of a cheerleader. Is that?
Yeah. But then you have the exact conjunction of the Mercury conjunct the Saturn. And this could be where you're putting things into, Saturn, we talked about that, can be the limitation, the delay, or the mastery in your word. And you are getting this solar return. Mercury is in Aquarius, and you have a Mercury return that's hitting your Mercury in Aquarius. So it's about really coming back to itself to have the knowledge and information to help others. Aquarius is the humanitarian planet of great ideation, and I do know you're helping some astrology clients with their own websites and own social media pages.
With my admin do-it-aller experience, yes.
Yeah, so there's more of that you're
getting.
And
my meditation podcast. I feel like, that's when I'm not even trying, that's growing without me necessarily pushing it. I think that bringing in that kind of cheerleader aspect of like, let's go, let's keep going and creating action. I think that that's where I'm going to see the most
some movement.
Yeah, the most
There's
movement.
also the nodes. We've got the nodes coming in on South Node is on the 1st house, or in the 1st house. And that means the North Node is in the 7th house of intimate relationships, but it's the North Node that is the one that's in the 7th house. So it seems like there's more life purpose to relationships this year at 35. Like you're moving in that direction for, destiny is a intimate relationship for you this year.
Okay. Thank you. I'm excited for all these themes. And I do want to share a little bit about my celebration. I had a blast. It was a perfect day. And you and I started out with, you had all these mandalas, a little cupcake with the happy birthday candles, and then the little mandalas that you hand draw. I just saw them out on the table, and I didn't necessarily know what they were. I just thought they were like added decorations.
Like I would.
But underneath each one, you told me to pick my favorite and kind of open it up, aka lift it up. And there was a little present under there for me. So it was fun. And then you had a surprise for me.
Big surprise for me too. Yeah.
Because we started walking outside, and here we're passing the nail salon. So I'm thinking, oh, yeah, it's the nail salon. Oh, and then we were passing the facial lady. I was like, oh, it's definitely a facial. And we kept walking right by both of those.
Yeah.
And so, which, by the way, as a quick aside, you had texted me saying, make sure to wear comfy clothes.
Because I didn't want to say that proper clothes, because that would have given it away. So I wanted to wear comfy clothes.
So I did. I wore some like black
high heel
jeans
boots
and high heel boots. Those are comfortable. And it was my birthday, so I wanted to make sure I had my makeup on and my hair done. And so we're walking, and all of a sudden we're walking by your Pilates studio, and you go, oh, here we are. And I was like, huh? You're like, yeah, we're going to do a Pilates class. I'm like right now, or you're going to we're going to sign me up for the next day or next week?
Right.
No, right now. I'm like, how is this going to work? You're like, oh, you're not even going to sweat. I barely sweat. Also, side note, my mom never, ever sweats.
No, I don't.
She
It's
can be
not
in a
good.
sauna and not sweat.
I know.
I, on the other hand, am a sweater.
And you're wearing
I was wearing a sweater. And I had no idea. Like, I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to bend with the what are they called?
Reformers.
The reformer in these jeans. I'm like, man. So I run back.
Oh my gosh, you run
Get
home.
on some leggings and, like an athletic top, and then just run back over. I barely made it in time. And and in the class, it was the jumping class, which you had never taken.
It was a cardio sculpt class. Now, I've never taken one of that. So I was like, they're all different anyway. So this is fine. It was the only one that had 2 slots in it.
Right.
That was available on your birthday. Right. So it was like, yeah, sign us up. Here, I paid for because I'm a member. And the guy, captain, was our instructor. He's like, we're going to jump. And I'm like, we're jumping. I've never jumped in this class. And he goes, yeah, is your first Pilates class? And Alex says, yeah. And he goes, thanks, Mom.
It was funny.
And you're sore.
My legs are very sore. My calves are the sorest of them all. But it was activating, and fun. I really enjoyed it. And it wasn't as grueling as I thought. Mm-hmm. I was able to maintain, my energy level the whole time, which was great. But that was
the most grueling one I've ever been in.
Yikes.
Yeah. So if you say it wasn't grueling, but it made an impact on your body.
I mean, there were times when we were jumping and we would, have to then bring our knees up or bring them over to the side, and I could feel it, but it wasn't like I just needed to collapse, because you're literally laying down on the reformer. So you're already laying down. It wasn't like you had to do like, prison squats like back in my CrossFit days, which those you just want to fall to the ground because your legs can't take it anymore. But so then after that, it was a funny, surprise. And then afterwards we got some lunch. Then I went back home, and when I went there was a note on the door saying use the main door, because I usually go in through the back door. And then it said, close your eyes and knock. So I closed my eyes and knock, and I'm then led on over by the couch. I get handed a glass of champagne. And then from then on, it was all sensory. So wonderful music playing. I got a wonderful foot rub.
So wait, you had the blindfold on the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I mean, it was kind of different, because it was... And it was we kept laughing because I kept missing my mouth whenever I was trying to take a sip. And it was a great night. Then I had a wonderful bathtub drawn for me. And while I was in the bathtub, there was some fruits and some flowers and a little note that it was a beautifully written note that said, all of the wonderful things about me. And then saying, by the way, make sure to be ready by 8 p.m. for dinner.
Uber pickup.
The Uber pickup, yeah. And so I had my dress and got ready and was like, you know, kind of like running last minute just to like throw on some lipstick and like freshen up my makeup and then as soon as I like ran out of the bathroom there, my love was sitting or standing next to the table with the music playing and the table all set up with dinner. And it was so great because, you know, here I am thinking like, oh, we got to hurry and hustle over to the reservation and get there on time. And it was just perfect because then I was just like, wow, this is really relaxing.
Right. Staying
and
in
special.
for a beautiful dinner.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
nice.
yeah,
So
by that
pretty.
time, the blindfold was off. So we're fine. But yeah, that was a little bit of my birthday, which was wonderful. And 35, I'm excited. It's going to be great.
I know.
So yeah, thank you everybody for listening and thank you for all the happy birthday messages. Don't forget that we love your feedback so you can give it to us with a review wherever you listen to this podcast, an email, alex@intentionbeads.com, or just share with family and friends, whoever you think is going to enjoy this podcast.
Please.
So thank you again, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story of you. The story of you, the story.